What has come into being in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. You have all been given it with your bulletin a copy of one of my favorite, not yet, you do have a soon, but not yet, a copy of one of my favorite paintings. It's called The Nativity, and it's by a turn-of-the-century painter, Gary Melker, who lived not far from here, just outside of Fredericksburg, in a beautiful estate that is now open to the public. I think what struck me about this painting is its realness. There is an authenticity. I think when we were handing them out here in this vestibule, Joan was like, that's what it really looks like after Jesus was born. Mary is lying, sitting, half sitting on the floor, and Joseph is by her side. And there's a protectiveness to him, but there's also this awe, which I think all fathers can sympathize with, looking at a newborn baby thinking, oh my gosh, this is my baby. It's a very dark and muted painting. And if you look at baby Jesus, Jesus' eyes are closed and he seems to be sleeping. And while there's a little bit of light coming in through that door, Jesus, this tiny newborn baby in this painting, is the primary source of light. Now, we have another version that our folks are going to hand out, and Scott and James, if you all would help them and take some, and y'all can start at the back and y'all can meet at the front, and we can pass these out. Because as I was trying to do some research on this painting, I found that there's a different version out there. And it took me a while to figure out what was going on. If you get one, just, and as you look at it, you can see that they decided they wanted to lighten this picture up. I'll give everybody a chance to see it. Hey, Scott, will you take those over there? Thank you. I didn't want to give you both because it loses some of its, when you see both pictures in the very beginning. So as you can see, you know how they have that little wand thing in your My Pictures, in your photos? I think what they did is they wanted to make this more palatable for the American living room, so they lightened it up. And I have to admit that if I were looking for a picture for my living room, the lighter version would look prettier on my wall. And you can see that while there's some daylight coming through the doorway light is now bright. And Mary's dress is a lighter shade of blue. And interesting, their skin tone is much whiter. They look more European than they look Middle Eastern. Thanks, guys. And there's one more thing. As you look at baby Jesus in the manger, look at what's there in the lightened version. You don't see anything. This painting with these vigorous brush strokes had such an exquisite, the original had such an exquisite face of baby Jesus. But when you lighten it up and you make it prettier and maybe a little more palatable, you lose the exquisite detail of the incarnation. You lose his humanness. He just basically becomes a blob of light. And I think we lose the humanity of Christ and that beautiful human baby face. The thing is that God chose to be born in this very particular way. He chose to be born and to be carried by a simple girl, betrothed to a humble craftsman, living in a world that was ruled by wealthy and insatiable powers. God chose to not have this child born in a palace in Jerusalem. God chose to have this child born in a backwater town with no room in the inn, in a manger, a food trough for animals. God chose to reveal the nature of God in this most particular way as a true light, a fully human and fully divine light that shines even in the darkest night. And it is the light of all people. We like to lighten things up, right? We like to use all the tinsel and the lights and the flash. But the love that God has for us is stronger and brighter, and it's so real and more authentic than anything that we could ever manufacture or turn on or off. The light shines in the darkness, in the stable, in our homes, in our churches, and in our lives. The light and dark, the day and the night, the way that God created it. But it's a package deal, and it's authentic, and it's real. I wonder what would happen if in this year, if we chose to try to look at God in this authentic light. If we can see God and this creation that God has created in all of its light and all of its darkness, maybe we can see and we can love the light and the darkness that is in each of us and in the people that we care about. Because the love of God is real, and it has a face, and it has a name, and that name is Jesus. Amen.